Okay, so just a little bit longer, just setting some stuff up, probably about 3 more minutes, and I'll actually start the stream for real. This song's actually fun. This song is from a video game. Try to guess what game it's from. You probably will not get it. It is not, well... Is 2013 retro? I was about to say, no, it's not retro. I'm like, that's 10 years ago. Yeah, that's retro, isn't it? Oh, thanks, Q. But yeah, this is very much not an indie game. This is a first-party Nintendo game. Other way around, Q. You can send me 10 if you want. But yeah, that song is from Super Paper Mario. So is this one as well. The game gets really, really weird. The previous song is actually directly after a main character dies and gets sent to hell, and they just play all this like weird sounds at you for a while. Yeah. You should probably play Super Paper Mario just because of how strange it is. It's not really like a good RPG. That's kind of the problem with it, is it's like not a good Paper Mario game, but it's a really good game because it's like, it's kind of before Nintendo really clamped down on you can't do this with Mario characters. So they just went real weird with it. They basically like, the plot wouldn't be out of place in a Kingdom Hearts game, where it's basically like the light artifact, the dark artifact, the power of the shadow. And then it's like a Mario game where everyone's like a cute paper cutout. Oh no, it's not soulless at all. It's like, it feels like a fanfic, but like in a good way, where someone had to try really hard and probably had to fight to be able to get the game made that way. It doesn't feel phoned in. It feels like someone specifically wanted to make this game, even though the game is ridiculous. Oh, and yeah, I did make this loading screen. I actually made pretty much all the assets. Of course, I did not make my model, so let's start that off right away. My model is made by Relasimin. I found it on VR chat. They are the person who made everything. I've done some modifications to it, but that's some minor touch-ups. Some of the geometry was incorrect. Some of the vertices were inside out. I had to fix that. I had to redo all the bones and redo all the weight painting. No, I was not high when I made this, but that's what I was going to say, is I eventually am going to do a stream about how I made this. Because a lot of the stuff you'll see, my transitions, like I'll just show you this one for now. Like, this is what the Be Right Back screen looks like. And it's made, you could probably tell, in a similar way, where it starts with a somewhat cohesive picture. I tried to fuck it up as bad as I could. And then immediately degenerates into noise, and then kind of resolves into a different picture before going back to the other one. And, yeah, I was trying to start with the word hallway, and then just adding modifiers to it to make it as weird as I could, and it kind of becomes like spirals and geometric shapes for some reason. This one was me trying to get a city, and then like it kept giving me like happy, shiny sunshine places, and I added as many adjectives as possible. They're AI generated. I added as many adjectives to like fuck it up. Like it's like glitch. Okay, no, increase the weight of that word by like 8 times. Okay, now it's almost indistinguishable. What's a word that determines what color palette it's going to use? That kind of thing. I made several of them. These were just the 2 I liked. And this is very much new to me. I've never done AI video before, but I have done quite a bit of AI just still images. And that's the thing, is like basically everything you see in my assets when you see the overlays and the backgrounds and stuff, they're made from AI stuff, but they're not actually straight up AI generated. Like they didn't come out of the machine looking as they did. I would just put in stuff and receive textures and colors, and then I would have to put it together myself in ways that worked. Sometimes I would receive stuff that was so fucked up and unrecognizable as what I was trying to make it be. I would have to then overlay that thing over the original object and like mess with opacity, whatever. I'm gonna have a stream on that. It's basically gonna be how to use AI generation to assist in making stream assets. That'll probably be that'll be something not this week, it'll be maybe next week. And if that goes well, I can do a stream about how you train Allura, specifically something more along the lines of how do you do fan art with AI? Like, you want to make a specific character. You don't want to make a generally good picture. You just want to make a certain person. And I've done that before. And I could probably help someone out. so let's move in. Hi, Ginny. Yeah, I think we're ready. So, as you could probably tell, you can tell where you can tell where this background came from. Okay, so my understanding is that there's a way to do this. It's a sacred, you know, rule about. Yeah, I really like this one because I was just trying to make spirals, and I ended up basically making the polymerization card. Like if you told me this was like, you just put like a monster somewhere in here and have them like spin around into two different things. Yeah. Anyway. Feet. Additional feet. You've never seen this many feet before. Hi. Hi. I have hand tracking. This is how I look. You've probably seen me before. One second, let's just... How much can I zoom in without completely breaking it on this screen? That much? Okay, let's go for it. This works. But anyway, so I started with the... Yes, thank you. That took a while to figure out. That was... I'm right here. It wasn't secret. Like Mantis is literally in my tags. That's a funny system. I'm glad that Twitch lets me do that, by the way, is I could just type in garbage and Twitch will just put it as, oh, cool. Someone just followed me. Yes. And it just demonstrated one of my, I have the ability to have emotes triggered by certain conditions, such as following. So I get the little thank you emote. Do people recognize where that's from? Because I do. Hi, Junie. But yeah, it turns out that most of the assets from old Ragnarok Online are just straight up available. They're either really easy to rip or already just there for you to mess with. So yeah, I got some use out of that. Do I have more? Yes. Okay, so here's the basic setup of expressions I have. I have some ones that I made myself because I was just trying to do it. But first, let's talk about the speech lines. So this is something I saw a avatar that I use in VR chat do. Specifically, it's a little cat wearing a blanket, and it has little talk lines that kind of come out of the top of its head to denote that it is talking. And I was like, that's cool. How the hell do I do that? And I came up with a solution that's probably the wrong one. But what I did was I made two different things: middle line short, outer lines long, and outer line short, middle line long. And those are actually little 3D models that I basically took a Blender cube and I messed it up slightly. It's the most simple model you could possibly make, but I didn't make it. And then yes, it does match my speech because they are tied to the different mouth shapes. They are tied to A, E, A, O, and U. You're not late, I'm just starting. Thanks for coming, Mari. But yes, I tied it to the different mouth shapes, and then I messed around with these settings. Specifically, in VNyan, you can go and you can make something that says, like, you can make what they call new expressions. They're not actually new, they're just, you can trigger expressions when other expressions hit certain values. So what I did was say, when the value A, which is the A mouth shape, hits 20, it was automatically set to 100. And when it's below 20, it's set to 0. So what that means is I only get the full one. I toggle between the different ones depending on what is the most currently predominant, and I don't get them weirdly overlaying over each other. And I also don't get mid steps where, I mean, I can, it wouldn't be, I mean, actually, it probably wouldn't be that bad if I just yelled into the mic because I have like compressors and limiters and stuff on it. Like I won't blow out someone's eardrums, thankfully. But anyway, let's talk expression. So the first one I made was very much just proof of concept. Can I get an expression to work? And I did it in a stupid way first in Unity, and then I discovered that props are actually really easy to implement in VNyan, and I was doing some dumb stuff where I literally was like making the material part of the VRM and then like triggering it as like a condition for expressions. Why am I so far away? Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Become larger. Hi, is this better? Is this what you want? Is this better? Anyway, so expression number 1 was very much just this. Yeah, I'm gonna need this expression for my Friday stream, but believe me, I looked at the first part of that book I'm gonna read, and like, I've got so many notes on the first page. Like, don't even. It's gonna be. I'm not gonna say a nightmare, because that's the whole thing. Is that Friday stream is not gonna be, I'm gonna tell you about a subject as if I'm an expert. I'm not an expert, and you're not experts in this subject probably either. What we're gonna do is, the book supposedly lays out an argument that an average person should be able to follow. And we're gonna simply see, does the argument work? Feels like a nightmare. Yes, I actually used specifically the keyword nightmare a lot to try to get, the only problem with the word nightmare, at least specifically, I actually made use of the Stable Diffusion 1.5 pack. I made use of the what do you call it? The model. And as people are like, well, duh, like what else would you use? No, the actual original one, the one that no one uses anymore because everyone has different fine tunes for different things. People use different models that are like specific, that kind of thing. And I didn't want specific, I wanted garbage. I wanted like digital sludge that I could fuck up to a degree that it just looks like weird, incoherent nightmares. And I sometimes do, I do that on purpose a lot because, well, I was gonna get into it in another stream, but I can kind of talk about it here, which is, there's 2 ways you can deal with a media, essentially. And what I think of is I think of like CDs, where it's like CDs skip, CDs get fucked up sound. And when they were new and when they were sort of the only option, what people did was they tried to, not have that. They didn't want them to skip. They didn't want them to be fucked up. They wanted the sound to be high quality. They wanted them to work. But the things that people remember about a media are the parts that kind of don't work. Like, people remember record scratches. People remember kind of like how fucked up and janky like games on cassette can look like when they're doing their loading screens. I don't know if you've ever seen like a C64 loading screen. It looks like this like fucked up nightmare rainbow, but it's like people remember that because it looks weird and off. Like like things on VHS. People remember the parts that don't work. So what I was trying to do with these, and what I occasionally do, was trying to lean into the stuff that looks fucked up about AI. And you can do some really cool stuff when you're like trying not to get it perfect. That said though, you can also get it pretty perfect. Like, some people will say, oh, AI can't do hands. And what that means is I use the default model and I don't know what I'm doing. Or I'm not willing to actually fix some stuff in post. I expect the machine to do everything for me. AI is not a machine that does everything for you. AI is a cross between a Photoshop filter and like a stock photo site. It gives you cool assets to make stuff, and sometimes you have to be a little more specific about how you want stuff to be boarded out. So you can do cool stuff with it. That's in the future. Okay, expression number two. This one is, I had this be differently actually. I was originally using the speech bubble RO expression, but Draconic's fan art, I was like, oh yeah, I could just literally put the little thing and have it like the little anger line and have it animate. It does not show up well in this background, but it does show up much better on the background I'm actually going to be using to stream stuff. So I consider that reasonable. I could also make it bright yellow later on because, I have all the files. Okay, so the way I have my stuff work is pressing the same one toggles it off, but also going to any other one toggles it off, so nothing overlays. Let's see, what's the third one? I actually don't remember. Oh, right, it's just the yeah, no, that one's good. That one's real good. We've got, if you want it to be visible, yes, you can also do that. You can mess with either the blending options for the original Photoshop texture, or you can probably do stuff in VNeon where you have like a second version of it behind it to make like a white outline. I'll see that. We've got the, doing fine, having a good time. We've got one of my favorite expressions, haven't turned around. That's fair. I am a 3D model. How does that work? Oh, there we go. Also, one thing I'll say about VNeon is just like, it's also, you can kind of see that these are 3D to a degree. These are not just flat textures that always face the screen. They are kind of like angled in a way that's kind of like the way someone's voice would project. But anyway, We can see the cursor. Yes, thank you. That's actually good, by the way, because it lets me indicate things like these up here. I can use that for certain things. But anyway, so we have this one, which was the first RO expression I actually found that I was like, oh shit, these are actually good. Because I was like, oh, I'll just make them myself. And then I'm like, I'm not making this shit myself. Like this is how I felt when I was streaming Stalker, by the way, and I got to the part in the game where it's just like, you are in an underground laboratory. There is unknown bullshit. You know it's bullshit because you can hear it through the walls. Is there a glitchy effect in the model? That's actually a built-in filter in VNyan. It's called analog glitch as opposed to digital. It's basically like fucked up scan lines. There's two different glitch filters, and I put it on and I basically messed with it until it was very minimal. Okay, so question, or answer to that question. Can you do the rainbow thing? Not yet, but there is a different file format that is not VRMs that I might be able to put this model in. And as such, I might be able to actually fully use Poyomi shaders. And honestly, the thing that made me want to do that is there's a toggle in VNyan that just says audio link, yes, no. And I'm like, oh shit, does it have support for shaders that have audio link like already built in? Can I just toggle that button and have like the bracelet like bounce in time with the music and stuff? I probably can, but that's, you know, I did not have a ton of time to set this up, so that's for the future. Also, let's see. Has this gotten into the what are we even playing? Yeah, we've gotten into the Drakengard music because Drakengard 1 is a terrible experience that sounds really cool. Basically, I don't recommend anyone play that game, but also I strongly recommend that people play that game. Let's see. Next expression. Yeah, it is Yowie Day. I noticed that. I'm glad. I had to like look to figure out how the pun worked, and I'm just like, oh, that doesn't sound like the word 8. And it's like, oh, they're just readings I don't understand. That works. Got it. Next expression. Sad. Yep. Very much sad. Okay, so now we've actually run out of expressions, but we're into poses. Specifically, this is completely unposed. These are the way my arms are actually moving. They're moving 100% in the way that I am moving them. Like, I can move this much and I'm actually moving that much. That's not always the case, though, is the thing. You can blend them, so moving a little bit, moving a lot moves a little bit, or you can do other sort of ways. Is it webcam tracking? Yes, it is my phone doing droid cam into DDS body tracking, fed into VNyan. That is the setup. And I could probably add a few more things if I wanted some other stuff, but this works and doesn't completely overwhelm my CPU. I am incredibly glad. It's one of the few times I'm incredibly glad to have E-cores, actually. Like, because normally when you run a CPU, you're just running off like P-cores, like running a game. But it seems like, at least, that my VTubing stuff is able to make use of all of the extra cores a little bit, and I'm still able to get decent performance in a game. I haven't tried to run like completely new games yet. I consider Stalker a new game relatively for the stuff I'm going to be playing, but that shit is not new. That shit's not new at all. Ugh, God. Anyway, okay, so poses. Yeah. New. Okay, so first of all, you're able to do 3D models as props in VNyan. So this is really a 3D model of the controller I am using. It's an Xbox controller. It works for some of the... It actually works really well because it has the same button layout as a Dreamcast controller. And spoilers, every Wednesday is Dreamcast Day. Like, don't you worry, you're gonna learn about the Dreamcast. That's the thing, is that I say I like the Dreamcast. I have a Dreamcast. I've played a few Dreamcast games. But I don't know shit, because as things age, all you see is the stuff that people talk about are the best of the best. You get people saying they don't make them like they used to because all they're seeing is survivorship bias. And I'm gonna ruin that. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna play every Dreamcast game that isn't a sports game. I'm not playing all 6 football games. I'm not playing every single racing game, but I am playing the ones that people like. Like, I'm playing that one wave race game that's like a launch game. Unfortunately, that means that the Dreamcast launch games, yes, Pen Pen is the first game I'm playing. See, that's the thing, is there were 16, I'm using the American Dreamcast timeline, and I am playing them in order. But I have added a small thing to check my sanity, which is that if a game never came out in the US, but it's either a Japanese game with a translation patch or a European game that was released in English like Rez that never came out in the US, those games are called Lifeline games. And those are, if I get super fucking annoyed that all the games in this current time period are trash, I'm able to swap one in. And that's the way it's going to work. So for instance, when I get in the middle of like a bunch of completely mid games that are indistinguishable, I will be like, okay, fuck it, we're playing Rez. And I will just become completely lost in the sound and music for a bit. And then I will go back and I will be refreshed. Not that Rez is easy. I've never beaten Rez. Rez is going to kick my ass, but it'll at least do it in an entertaining way. Anyway, so there are 16 American Dreamcast games that were launched. That's a lot more than the Japanese launch because, of course, it came out later. And I decided I'm going to go with Pen Pen first. And also, Blue Stinger is a launch game, which means I gotta play that one. So I'm going to learn all about Infogrames. I'm going to learn all about the people that made Illbleed. Because spoilers, the people who made Illbleed made those games. And there's a Pen Pen reference in Illbleed, and there's also a Blue Stinger reference in Illbleed. So I will play the first two games fairly early, and then Illbleed much later. Maybe I can line it up with like a Halloween or something. And people will actually understand the references to it, hopefully. Also, Illbleed I will be playing in an interesting way. You may have seen Picky play it. Picky played it the correct way, which is to say the way you do your first playthrough, where you try to save people. I will be using a save that is 100% complete. Even if I have to make it myself, I'll figure out a way. And I will be doing New Game Plus, in which I will unlock the secret ending. I will show you the final boss. I will reveal the entire whole Eriko's story about where did her dad go, why did he abandon her. And in doing that, I will make sure to kill every single person you're supposed to rescue, because that is the only way forward. You will learn, and it will be, I hope my stream doesn't get shut down. Let me just say that. It's a thing that happens in a video game and it wasn't rated mature, so that means I could show it on Twitch, right? Right? Please? 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 But anyway, so I have my controller. I also did these things where I have what I call like half poses. I didn't look up how to do this. This just made sense to me. Like, so for instance, let's say I want to keep holding the controller, but I also want to point at something or like wave. I have this, which it unfreezes the one arm, but it keeps the rest of the pose. So I can be like, you know, that thing over there, but I'm still holding it. And then if I go back to the other pose, it kind of snaps, but it blends a little bit back. It doesn't look too bad. I've of course got a button that completely undoes the pose, you know, goes back to my normal arm movements, which can look a little strange sometimes. I've got this one, which is literally just, I am using a keyboard and mouse. It looks a lot better when I'm on the other screen I'm gonna be on, but it works. This one's interesting because, see, I still have some movement. Oh, believe me, I can. You just can't tell I'm doing it, and that's the best way. So these are blended 50% for the arms and 100% for the head, except for the spine movement. So what that means is that I still have some emotion to it, but I don't completely, like for instance, let's say I was gonna like scratch my head or like turn behind me, my model doesn't completely snap in half and like form into a pretzel and destroy everything. So this is a very useful pose. We also have this one, which is the same thing, but the hand is free to indicate. And we have the best pose, which is described as press this button to instantly die. It's great. I love it. It's yeet is a built-in feature, and you can mess with the power. I turned the power all the way down, so I just sort of crumple into one place. I found that a lot more entertaining than like flying off the screen, but you can absolutely make yourself just like rocket off the top of the screen or to the left or right. It's quite good. So that's essentially what we have there. Oh, no. I have some stuff I want to show you on the screen, actually. I made a collage. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do in the near future. Can you make an instant death regime when you hit affiliate? That's why I made it, by the way. I actually have some really clever ideas to do with responses to bits and other things. Okay, so I don't have bits, obviously. I can't do that. I don't have subs, But I do have a Ko-Fi, which is set up and the alerts are set up. I've got the, I made every sound in my alerts just a Daggerfall sound because I already had a folder on my computer where I ripped all the sound effects out of Daggerfall. Don't ask why, I just had it, okay? But I tried to pick sounds that fit. So, I mean, it's coffee, but it's spelled Ko-Fi. How else would I... Coffee. Whatever. Point is, these are the things I'm going to do in the near future, and these are the things I believe that you should be excited about. So, number one, Daggerfall. This game is... Okay, the best way I can describe Daggerfall is that Daggerfall contains dungeons that if you get yourself into them, and you save in them, and you don't have a backup save, like some people just run 1 or 2 saves, okay? It's entirely possible you might have to make a new character because you can just get lost so bad it's easier to restart the game. The dungeons are what people refer to as spaghetti. Come to Scenic Tamriel, explore this bullshit. There's so many layers. The map is 3D and you can rotate it in 3D space. It will not help. Like fucking hell, you will learn. And I am smart enough to at least understand how the teleport spell works to achieve that and be able to set it at my entrance. Unless I forget. I've forgotten many times. The last time I turned on Daggerfall just to start it up to be like, oh, I'm gonna go through the tutorial. I got the Red Death, which is to say a rat attacked me. It was like the second enemy in the game. It said, you feel sick. And then when I rested to recover the damage, it said, you have contracted the Red Death. Your stats will lower until you begin dying. Have fun. And I just fucking mad dashed it. I booked it through the tutorial dungeon. I got through Privateer's Hold, which is not easy, by the way. If you get through Privateer's Hold, it's actually kind of a good tutorial in a way. If you make it through Privateer's Hold, you're probably the kind of person who could finish the game. So if you ever play this game and you have a lot of trouble in the tutorial, but you get through it, that's just the game's way of saying, okay, you're competent. We believe you can finish the game. That wasn't supposed to be easy. That was in fact very difficult. You didn't know what to expect. You weren't equipped well, but you still made it. That means you can do it. And so I ran through the tutorial. I ran to the nearest town. It's one of the few towns that's actually close enough that you can walk to. And I did it. I ran over there, got to it, hit the temple, removed disease, and I was alive. So that's the kind of shit that could happen from the beginning of the game. Daggerfall is 50% fantasy life simulator, 50% Elder Scrolls game. And in fact, it's the Elder Scrolls game that's just new enough to have mouse look. It's just new enough to have modern Elder Scrolls controls. Arena controls like a dungeon crawler. Daggerfall, the second game, controls like an Elder Scrolls game, but everything is made of pixels. And it's, believe me, this will be very fun, and I will play this quite soon. But that's only one of them. Down here, that's Touhou. That's Touhou 1. Touhou 1 for the PC 98. This week, I will begin getting into Touhou because somehow I don't know anything about it. All I know is that there are characters, and I can't name one of them. I can name one character because Picky has a fucking body pillow of him, like her, Patchouli. I know that's a thing. Anyway, point is, I'm going to get into Touhou in the exact incorrect way because everyone says skip the first 5 games, they don't matter. We're going to play the first 5 games on PC 98. We're actually going to play on PC 98. When you see my setup for playing the CDI game we will be playing afterwards, you will understand how I'm going to be doing this. It's actually running on a VM, and it's going to be interesting. But yeah, no, this starts this week. This starts Thursday, I believe. Enjoy. The first game is Breakout. I don't know if people understand that. It's not a shooter yet. The first Touhou isn't a shooter. It's literally Breakout. I don't know. I do not know if I can beat these, but I will attempt it. And you should understand that I don't give up once I start, so this is going to be a problem. Okay. Eastern Mind. Eastern Mind is an amazing adventure game. It's about a man whose soul is stolen by a sentient island, so he borrows his friend's soul and sets out on a journey to get his original soul back, because he can only survive on a donor's soul for a couple days. and in the process transmigrates into many different forms, and it's basically just weird Buddhist nightmare reincarnation game that plays like an adventure point and click adventure game, and it looks fucking amazing. Also, I watched like a streamer attempt to play it, and then they had tons and tons of technical issues, and I literally just went, I'm doing it myself. I can't. I refuse. I'm running this on a full VM. I'm literally emulating Windows 95 to play this game. That also opens me up to being able to play, what is it called? It's that other one. It opens me up to being able to play... What the hell is it called? It is... I'm blanking on it. Anyway, it's that game where you are a person in the past in Japan, and sort of like demons are real. I have it written down here. Cosmology of Kyoto. That's the game I'm thinking of. Cosmology of Kyoto. I can play that game. That game, most people play it and the text entry doesn't work because they're running it on compatibility mode or they're running it through DOSBox or something. Don't do that. Just emulate Windows 95 in its entirety and there are no issues. I will be able to play Cosmology of Kyoto as well, but I have Eastern Mind working right now. Over there, that's Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. I am not playing Open Roller Coaster Tycoon. I am playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 on DOS, on Windows 95. And I have it... This game is a game I played as a kid, but also the reason I'm playing 1 and not 2 is because Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 is a game that actually cares about teaching you how to play the game. In Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, they order their scenarios based on alphabet. That means that one of the most difficult scenarios in the game, Amityville Airport, or Airfield, is the first thing that you see because it's the first one there. And that's terrible. It's like the third most difficult scenario in the game. You don't do that. Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 starts you with the easiest one and ends with one of the most difficult ones. It's actually set up for people to learn how to play. And I know a lot about Roller Coaster Tycoon, but I also don't know a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon. I haven't played it in 20 years, at least. So we're going to do that and we're going to learn. Because like a lot of the stuff I know is probably bullshit, right? It's just stuff I convinced myself as a kid. So we're actually going to get to test. Like, do people actually buy more umbrellas when it's raining? I believe that's the case. Does jacking up the price not actually matter? I don't know, man. Let's learn. Okay, then over there we got I Divine Cybermancy is one of my favorite shooters because it's just French Warhammer fan knockoff game that is the best possible game of simulating what it's like to be in the future. So there's a passage at the beginning of, I believe it's Space Marine by Ian Watson, where Ian Watson is a very weird guy, but he's also a very serious sci-fi writer. So he's kind of a weird choice to write Warhammer 40k genre schlock. So basically they handed him the story and went, we want you to write a story about Space Marines in the year 40,000, and kind of were like expecting him to not be into it. And he went, oh shit, that's really cool. What will human psychology be like in the year 40,000? I mean, like, and he started looking at history and he's like, well, I mean, we're in the year like 2000 and like by our terms, people 2000 years ago were like insane. We can't even relate to them. Like morality's like drifted so far. 38,000 years in the future. That's probably like, it would just look like madness, right? How do I write a story like that? Anyway, he wrote Space Marine, which is, I don't know if I suggest reading it, but it's real fucking weird. I Divine Cybermancy is that. I Divine Cybermancy is you start as a guy, and the first thing he says is, I have killed my teacher, but I am not a murderer. And then you step into the real world and your own skull starts talking to you, and it just goes from there. It's basically like you have amnesia, so everyone you're talking to expects you to know things, but your main character does not know them at all. And the amnesia actually has a story reason. It's not just because you are the player character. It's not meta in that way. It is specifically this character's journey across multiple playthroughs. And the whole like amnesia and the cycles of reincarnation thing in I help make you understand. It's basically, there are 3 ways to play the game, and playing all 3 of them unlocks the secret ending. And it makes sense that it is the ending. It's a really good game. Okay, mode. People need to see this game. The only way you'd know about Mode is a Windows 3.1 adventure game made by an artist with help from his other artist friends who was really, really interested in a game that modeled conversation. He's an FMV game. Oh, yes, it is. It is a low-budget FMV game about a man, or well, not even a man, a person. It's about a person that crashes a rich guy's party, and then the game leaves it up to you. Why are you there? Who do you want to talk to? What do you do? Every time you do something, time passes a little bit, and then the night ends, and then the game tells you your ending. And there are so many endings. There are so many crazy things that happen. You can literally just meet someone, talk to them for a bit, and then the ending is just you become friends or romantic or whatever. You can one of the people in there is undercover FBI. You can find out why is this guy here? He sticks out like a sore thumb, by the way, because you look at him and you're like, oh, that dude's a cop. Right? That dude is either that dude's really bad at acting like he's supposed to be at a party, or it's intentional and he's a cop. Oh, okay, he's actually a cop. There we go. Least surprising twist in the game. Anyway, the game is amazing, and the only way you'd know about it is if you watched a guy named Super Great Friends stream it 8 years ago, because he found it at a garage sale. The game wasn't even available on the internet, okay? So he posted his own ISO copies up, and then the creator of the game was like, how the fuck did you find this? Who are you? I thought, like no one knows about this shit. How did you find it? And he was like, oh no, found it at a garage sale. It said mode on the cover. It looked interesting. So I played it, and then it became a whole thing. Someone put it up on Internet Archive, and now people are free to play it. But people still don't play it. It is one of the only FMV games I think I've played that uses the FMV format in a way that isn't just we put some real life actors in it and then you just play a video game. Or it's kind of like the game is about conversation. You need to be able to see people's faces, and it makes sense that these people are kind of like playing roles and God, the input system. Okay, the reason it's called mode is because of so everything in the game is either sounds like the word mode or is an anagram of the word mode. The way you get into the party is everyone has a dome pin, D-O-M-E. And there's a secret cult called EDOM, E-D-O-M. And anyway, the mood bar, which isn't an anagram for mode. Yes, the word demo is actually a part of a puzzle, by the way. It's there's a AI voice that talks to you, and there's this weird, the mode machine is you have to figure out what the hell's going on. Anyway, point is the mood bar is how you talk in the game. So someone will talk to you, and they'll be doing one of two things. Either they'll straight up ask you a question, or they'll merely make a statement that's not really possible to respond to. They'll say, I'm not having a very good time at this party. And then they'll pause, and the mood bar will pop up. And on the left will be red, and on the right will be green, or will be blue, I believe. And in the middle is green. And what you actually have are 5 delineations of that line. You have all the way negative, all the way positive, completely non-committal, little bit negative, and little bit positive. So that would be the 5 points. And as you respond to it, the person responded as if you said something in that tone. So you don't pick your words, you pick your tone. So for instance, if you respond really positively to that specific question, it would probably be something along the lines of you're agreeing with them. But there are weird cases, because when someone straight up asks you a question, the only thing that matters is left or right, because he's like saying, do you think you're having a good time? And you could say no, and that would be agreeing with them. But also, if they say, I'm not having a good time, and you hit the positive one, what you're saying is, no, I'm actually having a good time. So it can get a little confusing, but the point is, because it pauses after every choice, and because I know what happens in the game, but you don't, we're going to do this collaborative. We're going to do it with Twitch polls, and you're going to choose your answers, and you're going to choose your ending, and people are probably going to fuck up. We're going to play this game until people begin to understand the story. It lends itself to Twitch really well, because you accumulate information. I'm probably going to have to actually take notes, probably put notes up on the screen, and it's going to be really cool to try to figure out what they're doing. And yeah, it actually kind of does remove decisions not sounding like the text, because all you're picking is the tone. So for instance, you can have someone who's in a really shitty mood and just walk up to them and be like, yeah, hey, I'm doing great. And the person will just be like, fuck you. Fuck off. You can ruin your relationships with people immediately. It's great. It's a good game. But that's definitely what I'm most excited for. I don't really have the full setup yet. I do have Windows 3.1 working, which is actually the difficult part, but I'm probably going to need some kind of bot to generate the same Twitch poll over and over and over again. That's basically just, what is your choice? And then from most negative to most positive, and then I'll just like run it on like 15 seconds or so. People get their thing in, and we'll go with what we go with. Those are the games I want to play. Yeah, Touhou's this week. Daggerfall is probably in a couple weeks. Roller Coaster Tycoon's most likely next week, and the rest of them are for the future. But I believe it's time. We've kind of been in the weird spinning vortex void for a while, so let's go to my bedroom, my apartment. Tell me if you like it. Yes. Hi. This is what it looks like. I can give you the tour if you want. Like I got my there's a bed over there. I got my poster of King Lysandus. I got my sweet CRT. We're gonna be using that later. Actually, it works. I actually made it work. And I got pizza. How long is the pizza? One sec. My floor is perfectly clean. There's definitely no garbage around. It's cool. It's fine. It's normal. It's completely normal. But yeah, this is obviously, I mean, I say obviously, I look at this, I look at this and I go, oh yeah, I can see how I did that, but that's because I made it. I really like the texture this gave me. Yes, it is the Cruelty Squad bedroom. Specifically, you would not believe how difficult it is to get good screenshots out of Cruelty Squad because of the giant fucking UI. So I literally had to find this world in VR chat to get good pictures of it, and then the lighting was all wrong. So I had to like crunch it up significantly. This is a prime example of using AI like a Photoshop filter, where I made the effect and then I layered the effect transparently over. Like for instance, this poster of Lysandus does not normally look this cool. It kind of ended up looking holographic in a way. King Lysandus is one of the main people in Daggerfall. Specifically, the story of Daggerfall is that you have two goals from the Emperor. The most important is that the King Lysandus has risen from the grave and is wandering around Daggerfall screaming one word, and that word is vengeance. And you can't talk to him, he's basically a zombie, but people really are asking questions about why the dead king is implying that he was killed. Because it seemed like he died a natural death, but it's implying that wasn't the case. The other one is you have to deliver a letter to someone. Oh, well, it's not a big deal. Spoilers, the letter part becomes incredibly important. And it's a long time before you solve the King Lysandus thing. But the cover of Daggerfall looks like that. It's like this sort of like white Lich King guy reaching out towards you. And the real cover is actually holographic, by the way. It like I don't have one anymore. I might have had one at some point, but it looks really cool. Like you can like tilt it in the light, and it's like the most 90s cover possible. Anyway, this guy over there. I also crunched up a little bit. Believe me, you'll understand why this is there, because we are going to be playing a Sega CD game. We are going to be playing Panic. Does anyone know what Panic is? Yeah. Does anyone know the game Panic for the Sega CD? I only know about it because I was in the Something Awful Let's Play forum, and I watched a guy named Frankomatic. He still streams on Twitch, actually, by the way. I follow him on Twitter. He's pretty cool, even though he's, kind of just doing his same thing for like 15 years. He likes playing video games. He likes showing off weird shit. He loves that game, and he played it a long time ago, and I watched it, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I looking at? Because it's like one of those games designed by an artist, where the entire game is style, and the gameplay is one note. But it's a machine that shows you images, and the images are strange, and you have to. In fact, let's. Can I do it on this screen, or do I need to do it on the previous screen? No, I have to do it on the next screen. I have some screens caps from the manual for Panic to kind of help people get into it. But any more questions about my room? Should we maybe move on to doing that, or?